So today Jesus and the leper part 6 that I am doing, and as we are continuing and we are focusing on Christ's ability to cleanse. We are focusing on His ability to cleanse, and as we have seen in our messages till now that leprosy can only be cleansed by God. It was a disease which was not something which could be cleansed by any doctors or any man, but it is something which could only be cleansed by God, and that is something we really need to understand in our lives, the ability of Christ to cleanse us. And we have compared leprosy with sin. Okay, just as leprosy infects our body, sin infects our soul or our heart, so that we become like a leper in our hearts or in our souls. So basically we have seen two points in my previous messages. How is leprosy related with sin? First and foremost, leprosy makes a man insensitive to physical reality. Like a person who has caught leprosy, his body becomes insensitive to the reality around him or physical reality. In the same way, sin makes us insensitive to the spiritual reality, and that is something that we need to recognize. Okay, just as leprosy makes one insensitive to physical reality, sin makes us insensitive to the spiritual reality. So if you will see Psalms chapter 14 verse 1, Psalms chapter 14 verse 1.
The fool says in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt.
Okay, so a fool says in his heart, there is no God. Okay, it says they are corrupt. That means that they are having the disease of leprosy. That's why the reality of God is not there to so many people. Okay, for many of us, we say that there is a God, but He is not so real to us. The reason is we are having a disease called leprosy. Okay, it becomes so difficult for us to accept His truth, accept His reality and submit to His divinity in our lives. It is because we are so insensitive to the reality of God that it's as good as many a times we feel, is God really there? Okay, does God really exist? And the reason such kind of thoughts come is because they are having a disease called leprosy in their hearts, and that's why God is not becoming real to them. Other aspect that we have seen is a person who has got leprosy is somebody who will not be able to have any fellowship with what is clean and what is holy. Okay, a leper could not participate in the religious occasions. He could not come to the temple. He could not participate in any activities of the temple because he is unclean. So an unclean man or an unholy man or somebody who has been declared unclean cannot have any fellowship with God. And the same way, our soul is full of uncleanness. Mark chapter 7 verse 20 to 23.
And he said, what comes out of a man is what defiles a man. For from within, out of the heart of man, come evil thoughts, fornication, theft, murder, adultery, coveting, wickedness, deceit, licentiousness, envy, slander, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within, and they defile a man.
Okay, so can you see that they make us unclean? Evil thoughts, unclean thoughts, impure thoughts, evil desires. Why are they coming? Have you ever thought, why are they? If you just sit like that, so many evil thoughts and wicked desires will keep arising. Where are they coming from? They are coming from a state of leprosy within you. Okay, as a leprosy brings out all corruption from the body of a man. Okay, sin brings out all corruption from the heart of a man. And that is the reason all these evil thoughts and fearful thoughts and anxious thoughts and bitter thoughts or so many things, they proceed from the heart. Why? Because it is corrupt. And we live in a world which is so corrupt that even a little good that you may be doing, or even a little right thing you may be doing, makes you feel as if you are righteous, makes you feel as if you are good. And that is a problem with the life of so many of us. Sometimes we may help the poor or do some good thing or do some right thing, and we feel, see, I have done such a great thing, I am a good person, I am a right person, I am pleasing to God. But the problem is, you have to understand that you cannot do anything good or anything right, because the very fundamental nature that you have is corrupt. So, whatever good that you may be do is full of corruption. Whatever right you may be doing, it is also full of corruption. Isaiah chapter 64 verse 6. Isaiah chapter 64 verse 6.
We have all become like one who is unclean, and all our righteous deeds are like a polluted garment.
Okay, so can you see that all our righteous deeds are like polluted garments? It's amazing in our lives. We do some good things, or we speak some right things, or we do some right things sometimes, and we feel that we have become good and right. But that is not the truth. Okay, we all are corrupt in our hearts, and that can be seen or recognized in the evil desires and the evil thoughts and wicked desires and selfish desires and bitter thoughts that keep arising from within your heart. Jealousy and pride and anger. What are they? They are all the manifestation of your state of leprosy within your heart. So, unless I understand or recognize the leprosy within me, I cannot come to the Lord and experience cleansing or experience the power of His cleansing. Okay, when the leper came to Him, he said, "If you will, you can make me clean." And Jesus said, "I will be clean." But why did the leper come? Because he recognized his leprosy. And the problem with many of us, we have not recognized our leprosy, and we think that just by doing some good things we are having favor in the sight of God, and therefore we have a relationship with God, but that is not the truth. So in my today's message, my focus will be to help us try to understand this leprosy or the state of leprosy in which we are in. So how will I come to recognize this leprosy clearly? 3 points I will share. First one is through the law. Come to Romans chapter 3 verse 20. Romans chapter 3 verse 20.
For no human being will be justified in his sight by works of the law, since through the law comes knowledge of sin.
Okay, so what he is saying? Through the law comes the knowledge of sin. That means, how will I come to know my sinful state? Or how will I come to know the state of leprosy within my heart? It says through the law, through the knowledge of the law. The word knowledge over there means an experiential knowledge. Okay, that means that you will not just intellectually know that you are a leper, but from the deep down heart you will be convinced that you are a leper. Okay, you will be convinced that you are a leper. And that kind of conviction, unless it comes to us in our lives, we will not be able to recognize the leprosy, and thereby we will not come to the Lord to experience His cleansing. And that is so important for us to recognize the state of our leprosy. You know that there are evil thoughts, you know that there are evil desires, you know there is jealousy, and there is pride, and there is wickedness, yet you think you are fine. The reason is, I not recognize the leprosy. So how do I recognize leprosy? Through the law. Basically, if we will see, if we look at the creation, everything that is made and everything that moves around us, everything is based on laws. Okay, God has not just said a word, let there be light, or let there be a creation, and creation came into existence just like that. No. Everything has a law. Okay, every single thing has a law. Nothing on the earth or in the creation works without the law. Okay, therefore gravitational law or electromagnetic laws, and there are so many laws that the whole creation works upon. Even if one thing goes bit left or bit right from the path that God has laid, it will end up into destruction. Like earth, if it goes bit near to the sun, it will become like a place without water or ice. If it goes bit away from where it is, it will become full ice. So it's exactly following the path that God has laid. So everything that God has made, they have a law, and because they walk in that law, they experience the perfection. So, in the same way, there is a law for our heart. There is a law for you and me. Okay, only when you walk according to that law, you will experience life. If you don't walk according to the law, you will experience death. Death means lack of peace, lack of joy, lack of comfort, lack of life. So only when you walk according to the law, neither turning to the right nor turning to the left, only then you can experience life. So that is how God has made the creation, and that is how God has put laws for everything, and that is how He has put laws for you too. If you will see Proverbs chapter 4 verse 23. God has given us moral laws. Only if I walk according to those moral laws, I will be able to experience joy, life and peace.
Watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life.
Okay, so what is saying? Watch over your heart, for from it flows the springs of life. So read verse 27.
Do not turn to the right or to the left. Turn your foot from evil.
Okay, so what is he saying? You should not turn to the right or to the left. That means you should keep your path straight upon the law. You turn bit right or bit left, any extreme will land you up into lifelessness or into destruction. So this is something that we need to understand. We live according to feelings, we live according to emotions, we live according to passions. Sometimes it is good, sometimes it is bad, sometimes it is nice, sometimes it is crying, sometimes it is joy, sometimes it is sorrow. Why there is so much of upheaval in our lives? Disturbance. It is because you don't follow the law. So somebody says that because you have become a Christian and now you are in the New Testament, you are under grace, so everything is cool, no matter what you do, everything is cool, God will accept you, you just have to repent and get back to Him. They present it so easily. It's not easy. It's not easy. So in order to experience life, you have to follow the law. If you don't follow the law, you cannot experience life. So, Jesus says in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17. Matthew chapter 5, verse 17.
Think not that I have come to abolish the law and the prophets. I have come not to abolish them but to fulfill them.
Okay, so can you see that Jesus himself is saying law has to be fulfilled. You don't think that you can have life without fulfilling the law. There is no chance of experiencing fullness of life, no chance of experiencing that what God is promising if you don't walk according to the law. So remove this deception from your mind that you can continue the way you are continuing and expect to receive life or peace and joy in your life. Every disturbance in your heart and in your life signifies you have moved away from the path. Now read verse 20, Matthew 5:20.
For I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of God.
This is the law. if your righteousness does not exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you cannot, scripture is very clear, you absolutely cannot enter the kingdom of heaven if your righteousness does not exceed that of the Pharisees and the scribes. Let's look at the life of the Pharisees, or what kind of life they had. Philippians chapter 3 verse 6.
As to zeal, a persecutor of the church, as to righteousness under the law, blameless.
Okay, can you see that? What is Paul saying? Not only Paul, this is how Pharisees used to live. If you keep the law and you keep a Pharisee before that, they will be absolutely perfect. Okay, if you look at them from outward, okay, God sees the inside, but if you look at them from the outside, they are absolutely perfect people. And they used to live a strict life, a very disciplined and diligent life. Okay, we all think that they are all wicked people. Yes, on the inside that's fine, but on the outside, if you will look at them and you will measure them according to the law, they were living a perfect life, the Pharisees. Now, what is Jesus saying? You need to live better than that. If we look at our life, let's leave the inside of us, outside of us. In our actions only, there is so much of deviation from the law. Pharisees won't have deviation on the outside. And this is something that you need to understand. Pharisees won't have deviation on the outside. Look at our lives. So much of deviation only on the outside. So Jesus is very clear. If morality, external morality is the standard, Pharisees were the best people existing upon the earth. They were the best people existing on the earth. Morally, they were perfect people. Now, what is the standard Jesus is saying? If your righteousness does not exceed them, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. Have you ever seen that scripture? The problem with many of us is we damn care whether we end up in heaven or hell. We just want heaven and hell now. That's it. That is the problem. We want to have fun now. We want to enjoy now. We want to have all the pleasures and the comforts and the enjoyments of this world. We want everything now. Okay, we want everything now. So that is the problem. But if you want to enter heaven, you have to exceed the standard of the Pharisees, or else you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. My God. I don't know if people have presented the Pharisees as the most wicked people, but everyone is a Pharisee. Everyone is a Pharisee. But they were at least disciplined in their actions. We are not so. So, unless our righteousness exceeds that of scribes and Pharisees, that means I need to be much better than the most morally, externally pure people like Pharisees. And not only that, my actions and my motives should be so pure that God should not find a blame in me. That is a call that Jesus is giving. Okay, when he is saying that your righteousness should exceed that of Pharisees, what he is signifying is your actions and your motives, that means your inner life and your external life, should be so blameless that God should not find one mistake in you. That is the standard. Now, if you are of the opinion that God will compromise on that, you are fool. No unholy person can enter the kingdom of heaven. No way. Okay, no way. Even if you enter, you will not want to stay there because you won't like the standards over there and you will be more comfortable in hell rather than in heaven. Okay, so now what is it that we need to understand? So Jesus explains what does it mean to exceed the righteousness of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Come to verse 21 and 22. Same Matthew chapter 5 verse 21 and 22.
You have heard that it was said to the men of old, you shall not kill, and whoever kills shall be liable to judgment. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with
okay, now can you say that? Anger is equal to murder. Okay, many people say, they take a scripture in Ephesians, I think in chapter 5, and say, you can be angry but only till evening. That means that you can murder till evening and then say sorry. Is that what it signifies? Not at all. When the scripture is saying you should not be angry, that means you should not be angry. If anyone who lets anger come, he is committing a murder. That is the standard. Now you will say, okay, if that is the standard, I cannot make it. Means yes, you cannot make it. God is not going to compromise on those standards. So, Jesus is not speaking of the action of anger. If a feeling of anger arises within me, a thought of anger arises within me, I am sinning. I am breaking the law. And thereby, I become not qualified to enter the kingdom of heaven. That is God's standard. Okay, that is God's standard. Usually, our anger, the anger that we have, is always unjust. If you will really sit and think about your anger, it will not be, you cannot justify it. Because it will be coming more out of your own hurt rather than the hurt of righteousness. Okay, because you are hurt, you become angry. Because you are offended, you become angry. Because somebody doesn't do what you want to do, you become angry. Justice is not the criteria for anger that comes within you. Okay, you don't become angry because justice is being deviated. You become angry because you are being hurt. That's why your anger is unjust. Secondly, your anger is instant. Okay, human anger is usually instant. It immediately spurts out. Okay, your passions and your emotions, they will immediately spurt out. And another thing, anger is always rough. The anger that we have is rough. That means it is always hurting somebody else. It is in order to hurt somebody else that your anger gets released. But what are you called to? You are called to live because you are made in the image and the likeness of God. We are made in the image and likeness of God. We are called to live as unto God or as God lives. That is a calling. Christian calling is a calling to imitate God. If you will see in Ephesians chapter 5 verse 1, he says, imitate God. That means be exactly like Him. That is a standard that you are called for. So if you don't keep that as a standard, you keep looking at people around and say, I am better than them, I know better than them, I think better than them, I live better than them. When they will end up in hell, you will end up in hell. That's not the standard. Okay, the standard is God. So let's try to understand the anger of God. Come to Exodus chapter 34 verse 6. Exodus 34 6, yeah.
The Lord passed before him and proclaimed, the Lord, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger.
Man, that's beauty. Can you see that? His anger is not a spurt of passion or emotion or hurt. but he is slow to anger. Man cannot be slow to anger. Your relationship with anger will always be quick. You do not have the capacity to become slow to anger. You can check. Are you slow to anger? Not at all. It just spurts out. And you having that anger within you, think that you still have a relationship with God. Think that you can make it to the kingdom of heaven is foolishness caused by leprosy within you. Look at God. Psalms chapter 78, verse 38 and 39.
Yet he, being compassionate, forgave their iniquity and did not destroy them. He restrained his anger often.
Okay, can you see that? He restrained his anger how many times? Often. Yeah, keep it.
And did not stir up all his wrath.
Did not stir up all his wrath. Why? Because he is slow to anger. Keep it.
He remembered that they were but flesh, a wind that passes and comes not.
Man, beauty. That means anger of God is not only slow, but anger of God comes out of understanding and intelligence. Your anger, it has nothing to do with understanding or intelligence. It's a passion. It's an emotion that comes out of fear or hurt or anything else. But look at God. His anger is not an emotional outburst. It is intelligence. That means he thinks. Before he lets that passion out, he sits and thinks. That means when he sees that I sin, he doesn't immediately let that wrath come upon me directly or fully, because he remembers that this man is just a flesh. He is just a breath away from death. If he dies, he is gone forever. He will be gone forever. And God keeps that in mind and he stops. And he stops his anger. That is the beauty of God. Keep reading.
How often they rebelled against him.
Okay, how often they rebelled against him.
In the wilderness and grieved him in the desert. They tested him again and again and provoked the Holy One of Israel.
Okay, can you see that? How often they rebelled against him, how many times they provoked him. Yet, he remembered that they are dust. And that is what he is calling you for. Okay, and you say, okay, now that is not possible. Then you can leave God, go and have fun in the world. Because anyhow you will end up in hell. You should not say in hell, see, I am having pain here, at least I should have enjoyed life on the earth. Okay, at least that regret should not be there in hell. So enjoy life and go to hell. But if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven, this is the standard. Okay, this is the standard. 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 9.
The Lord is not slow about his promise, as some count slowness, but is forbearing toward you, not wishing that anyone should perish.
Okay, so why is God slow? Because he doesn't want any to perish. When you become angry, do you care what will happen to the opposite person? Do you at least think how it will affect the opposite person? You damn care. All that you care about is you. Okay, I am hurt. That's it. I am hurt. That's it. If God, who is so righteous, is slow to anger, who are you to be quick to anger? And that's something you need to really understand. Okay, if you will see that again, Matthew 5, he says, if you call somebody Raka, and if you call somebody a fool, you will end up in hell. Okay, you have not yet lifted your hand. You have only spoken. You have only spoken what? Fool. You will say, okay, the leprosy within you will say, it's fine, you just said a word, it's just a word. You just said a word. You didn't hit that person, you didn't harm that person. No. Words hurt greater than alms. Do you know that? Do you know that? Words hurt greater than alms. Don't say that I just said that, I didn't mean that. No, that doesn't work like that. Okay, so that is something that we need to understand. I shared this example previously. I hope you know John Piper. It seems when he was a kid, he told his sister, shut up. Immediately his mother took him into the bathroom, took a soap and started cleaning his mouth inside. You know why? Because she feared he will end up in hell. Because he said, shut up. That means fool. Okay? Fear. So, why? Because he has become defiled, so she is trying to clean it with soap. Whatever understanding she might have. But it's amazing. We damn care. We don't care. How many times we have defiled ourselves. How many times we have become unclean. But we still take the name of God with the same mouth. We still come into the presence of God with that same body. We still come into His presence and sing songs, but with uncleanness. But you have no reality of God, no touch of God, no sense of God. Why? Because you have broken the law of God. Another aspect. Verse 27 and 28. Matthew chapter 5, verse 27 and 28.
You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart.
Okay, that's the second thing. Okay, in order to recognize that you have leprosy, you don't have to do the act of adultery. If you look at a woman lustfully, you have already committed adultery with her. You will say only a look. Yeah, but God looks at the heart. Okay, God looks at the heart. That's why one man said, it would have been better if I would have born blind rather than born with eyes and end up in hell. Yes or no? How many times? Okay, come to Proverbs chapter 6, verse 25.
Do not desire her beauty in your heart, nor let her capture you with her eyes.
Okay, so there are two things here. One thing is, you should not look at her. That means he is speaking to male. You should not look at her. And he is speaking to female in the next part of the verse, saying that you should not do anything to make a man look at you. You should not try to attract the attention of a male. Same. A man looking at a woman and lusting, and a woman trying to gain the attention of another man is same. It's equivalent to adultery. Look at your life. How many times have you broken that? And you still think that you can enter the kingdom of heaven? My God, the hardness of our hearts, the blindness of our hearts. We think that everything is fine, but we're deep down having leprosy. Every second look is a desire of the heart. Every second look that you give to a woman or a man starts the desire of the heart. Look at your life. But look at God. Habakkuk chapter 1 verse 13. Habakkuk 1:13. Okay, you are of much purer eyes to behold evil. Look. Okay, so can you see that? His eyes cannot look at evil. Okay, that means that every time he looks at evil, he is displeased with it. And that is a call that he is giving to you. Okay, that is a call. When you see with your eyes, do you derive pleasure? When you look with your eyes, do you derive pleasure instead of hatred? If you are deriving pleasure, that shows you are a leper. Another aspect. Verse 38. Matthew 5:38.
You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist one who is evil. But if anyone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also.
Okay, so what are you saying? No revenge or no retaliation. Okay, no revenge or no retaliation. If one man hits you and you hit him back, there is no difference between you and that man. Okay, you will say, but that person first hit me, but you again hit, you are the same. It's not a question of first or second. Okay, so an eye for an eye signifies, okay, it is encouraging bitterness and an attitude of revenge. But you are not called to live such kind of a life. You are not called to such kind of a life. What is saying? If one strikes you on one cheek, show him the other cheek. That means if you are hurt, take another hurt. If you are hurt again, take another hurt. And take hurt again and again and again. That is what you are called for. 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 20.
For what credit is it if when you do wrong and are beaten for it you take it patiently?
Okay, if you do wrong and somebody accuses you and says you have done wrong and you say that I am not responding, that's not a big thing. You are supposed to be accused for every wrong that you have done. But what does he say? But
if when you do right and suffer for it, you take it patiently.
Yeah.
You have God's approval.
Okay, then, only then you have God's approval. Okay, if you do wrong and somebody says you have done wrong and you become angry upon that, then you cannot even dream of entering the kingdom of heaven. What is saying? If you do right and still suffer, then you are approved of God. Oh, the church has become so one with the world. We have human rights, we have women rights, we have child rights, we have animal rights, so many rights. But for a Christian, okay, as one man of God said, for a Christian, the only right that you have is to surrender your right. That's it. Christian has no rights. Okay, the only right you have is to surrender your right. You can't say, see, I am a woman, or see, I am a human being, or see, I am a kid. You have no rights. You are called to suffer. That is your calling. Keep reading 1 Peter 2.
For to this you have been called.
Okay, can you see that? To this you have been called. Okay, so many false doctrines are revolving around the church or in the church. saying that you have rights or you should fight for your rights and etc. Okay, human rights or women rights or children rights. You have no rights. You are called to suffer. Keep reading.
For to this you have been called, because Christ also suffered for you, leaving you an example.
Can you see that? Can you see that? Leaving you an example.
That you should follow in his steps.
Yep. Keep reading.
He committed no sin. No guile was found on his lips. When he was reviled, he did not revile in return. When he suffered, he did not threaten.
Okay, can you see that? Though he was doing right, yet he was being given suffering, yet he did not threaten. But he said, Father, forgive them. And that is your calling. You are called to suffer. Oh, how we love ourselves. Okay, we don't want to, we do everything not to suffer. But God has called us to suffer. Okay, that suffering is for righteousness' sake. For the sake of righteousness, you are called to suffer. And that's something that we need to understand. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 7.
To have lawsuits at all with one another is defeat for you. Why not rather suffer wrong?
Why not rather suffer? Wrong.
Why not rather be defrauded?
Okay, see, he said, be defrauded. You know what happens? Every time a person hurts us, we will make a circle around us. Keep that person at distance. Keep that person bit away. Not try to have any relationship with him. Try to stay away from him. So protective minded. We are so protective minded. What are you protecting? The dust that will end up in dust. Okay, that life which is full of corruption. Okay, that's something we need to understand. So you should not avenge yourself. You should not take revenge. Why? Because you are called to suffer. What did Jesus say in Matthew 16:27? Unless you take up your cross and follow me. What does cross mean? Suffering that is put upon you without you doing any wrong. You will say, why should I suffer with this man, or why should I suffer with this woman, or why should I suffer with this disease, or why should I suffer this sickness, or why should I go through all this? It has been put upon you, and you are supposed to bear it as Christ bore it. Okay, all these healing and prosperity preachers, they say you should not be sick, and then you go and heal everybody in the hospital, and they can't do that. Okay, we are called to have health and wealth, they say. And make everybody rich if you can. They can't. Okay, that is a problem. People want to believe whatever supports their comfort. They don't want to believe what brings suffering. But Jesus has very clearly said, unless you take up your cross daily and follow me. What is cross? Cross is suffering upon suffering. God has put a man in your life who causes suffering. God has put a woman in your life who causes suffering. God has put a situation in your life which is causing suffering. You are called to follow the Lord by bearing it. Because Jesus did that. This foolish teaching that is there in the church saying that you are called to enjoy this life and enjoy that life is foolishness. And that is something you need to understand. So if somebody hits you on the right cheek, show him the left cheek. You're called to be hurt. It pains, yes, but it saves for eternity. So, we not wanting suffering is actually a manifestation of leprosy. With our own hands, we are letting go of eternity. Jesus is very clearly saying, so many times in the gospel he repeats that, unless you take up your cross and follow me, you cannot be my disciple. He repeats that so many times. And we in the church are doing everything to deny the cross. Okay, I have seen that in the life of a person, when God has allowed something in their lives, there is a reason behind it. Okay, there is a reason behind it. God never does without any reason. God will never put you in a situation without any reason. He puts you in a situation for a reason. And I am speaking about sovereignty. Some things you have brought up upon yourself by the sin that you have committed or the wickedness that you have committed. That is not the cross. You can't say that you commit the sin and you get AIDS and you say God has put a cross on me. No. That is consequence. Okay, look at Psalm chapter 130 verse 3.
If thou, O Lord, should mark iniquity, Lord, who could stand?
Okay, so what is he saying there? Lord, if you will deal with me exactly according to the sin that I have committed, nobody can stand before God. But God is not dealing with me according to the rebellion that I do against God. He doesn't give me what I deserve, but He gives me what I don't deserve. That is grace. Another aspect.